2 months ago, a woman lost her husband, whom she loved very much. He was everything to her. They got married 3 years ago, and it was a beautiful family. They lived like in paradise. April 15th. This day simply turned her life upside down and turned it into a living hell. That was the day her husband died. His heart stopped at work. Her husband's parents decided to bury him the next day. After her husband's funeral, she could not sleep, and if she managed to take a nap for even 10 minutes, her husband appeared to her in a dream and asked her to come to the grave and dig him up. And so it went on for 5 days. The woman told about her dream to his parents, and they decided that if their son did not like lying there, then it was a bad place. So they decided to rebury her husband. While they found people to do this, while they collected all the necessary certificates, a month passed. On May 17, they dug up her husband's coffin. When the coffin was opened, the woman fainted. The top inner lid of the coffin was scratched by her husband's hands. They had buried him alive. As the doctors determined, the man was in a state of clinical death. The husband came to his senses, buried in the ground, and fought for his life for 5 days. How can she live on? A few years ago, I had the opportunity to learn a very interesting story. At the time, I was working for a firm whose name I would not like to give. My task was to travel to various cities, big and not so big, and to arrange favorable deals there. And so, being sent on one of these trips to a small provincial town, I heard this frightening story. Staying in a small wooden house, I, being a friendly person, decided to get to know my neighbours. One of them was an elderly couple, a grandfather and grandmother, each about 70-75 years old. Hospitably welcoming me, they sat me down over a cup of hot tea and began to tell me about their town. They told me about many residents, grandfathers, grandmothers, fortune tellers, and ordinary people. And so the story reached the courtyard where my present dwelling was located. At the beginning of the XX century, in the 30s, here lived a family consisting of a husband, wife, and 3 children. In 1935, the famine began in the village. In many families, life was getting worse, but in this family, everything was strangely good, except, of course, for the fact that everyone was exhausted by the terrible famine. But after a while, the youngest child in the family, the boy Peter, died. The whole family grieved terribly, and the husband went mad. He went to various sorcerers asking for his son back. He became completely mad and began to beat his wife and children. Rumors of his madness spread throughout the town. The family lived like this for some time, but the husband did not want to give up. And after a while, he disappeared. He left the house at dawn and never appeared again. His wife waited for him, looking for him. Then she gave up everything, began to earn a living, tried to feed the children. Time passed, and suddenly her husband returned, not alone, but with a son, a dead son. The wife was shocked. She had seen Peter buried herself. She began to ask her husband where he had been, where he had found Peter, what misfortune he had brought to the house. But he only admired the returned child, rejoiced over him. The boy was as quiet as a mouse. He did not utter a word, was silent, but at night he began to look at the window and knock, as if he wanted to go outside. Then the other children began to have nightmares. The wife began to sleep badly. Only the husband was happy about his son. And then, on Peter's birthday, everything came to an end. The house suddenly caught fire like a match. The wife and 2 children were saved, and the husband stayed inside with his son. But before the house burned to the ground, the whole neighborhood heard the husband's terrible screams and Peter's merry laughter. So they burned, and on this place, after some time, a new house was built, in which a new family settled. So ended this strange, frightening story. Nothing terrible happened to me in the house. I calmly lived there the whole business trip and safely left the city.